Well, good afternoon and welcome to San Angelo Live. We have live breaking news from Lubbock, Texas. We'll be joined shortly by Joe Hyde from the federal courthouse. The jury in the Tim Vasquez bribery trial has reached a verdict this afternoon, and we'll let Joe Hyde tell you what that verdict is. Joe, welcome, and what's going on in Lubbock?
Well, hello, in Lubbock, Texas, in front of the George Mahon Federal Building. This is on Texas Street in downtown Lubbock. And for the past 4 days, we've been witnessing the trial of former police chief of San Angelo, Tim Vasquez. And this afternoon, the jury returned a verdict. He's guilty on all 4 counts. The first one is bribery, and then he has 3 counts of honest mail fraud. And those mail fraud charges stem from the 3 checks the city of San Angelo wrote to Daly and Wells, or wrote for the purchase of that $5.7 million radio upgrade, is what they kind of termed it here in the trial, with Harris Radios through Daly Wells in San Antonio. And of course, Daly Wells is the unindicted co-conspirator in this whole deal. There was no testimony from the briber side of the bribery case. But yeah, the jury deliberated for about 6.5 hours. So they started yesterday, did about an hour and a half, and they did about 5 hours today. Actually worked through lunch. They had Jimmy John's for lunch, and then they reached their verdict just now, about the time we published the stories, when the verdict came out.
Okay, Joe, what happens now?
Well, they're going to have a punishment phase. So the judge said, I need to have a scheduling order by the end of the day as to when we're going to do this punishment phase. And so then the question became, does Tim Vasquez go home to San Angelo while he's awaiting the sentencing, or is he a flight risk? And Jeffrey Haig, the U.S. attorney here who prosecuted the case, the head prosecutor of this case, said, I have secret information that Tim Vasquez may be a flight risk, but I can't reveal it in the courtroom. So right now they're meeting in the judge's chambers and going through whatever objection the U.S. attorney has to allowing Tim Vasquez to remain free until his sentencing hearing, which will probably be in a couple of weeks.
Okay, so at this point, we don't know if he's going to be taken into custody today or be allowed to leave until the sentencing phase.
We don't know. We don't know. He's
Okay.
His defense attorney said, he's been on bail or been out on bond since January 8th of 2020. 27 months hasn't been a problem. We would like to continue that. And that's when Haig stood up and said, I have information that might that indicates to me as prosecutor that Mr. Vasquez would be a flight risk.
All right, Joe, let's talk about the range of punishment for these 4 charges. Is there a federal minimum mandated punishment, or what is the range?
Well, we've been hearing 3 to 20 years, but I haven't vetted that. There's 4 charges. He's been found guilty on all 4 charges they went after. I believe it's about 20 years maximum per charge, which obviously would go concurrently. I don't know what the federal minimum sentencing guidelines are for this. We're going to look that up, but I wanted to get out here with a guilty verdict first, and then we'll go back and look that up.
All right, sounds great. Is there anything else you want to include before we go ahead and wrap this up and get to writing the details?
Well, the big takeaway from this is it was a public corruption trial. And whenever you have an elected official in an elected position, and they go out and they do something like, these things that look like they're kind of, improprietary. It was improper for Tim Vasquez to have these business deals going on with the primary radio, public safety radio, a radio vendor for San Angelo, and not reveal it to the city of San Angelo officially. And we heard the city council members 2 days ago, just about all of them said that, hey, if we had known that Tim Vasquez was getting paid to play these funky monkey gigs for Daly and Wells in San Antonio, we probably wouldn't have voted in favor of the $5.7 million radio upgrade, is what they're terming it. And so when you're in a position of public trust, you've got to have a lot of confidence. And Tim Vasquez erred. from listening to testimony, I don't think Vasquez went into this intending to be a crook.
Right.
I think it just kind of, from the time that, an assistant city attorney introduced him to David Wells and he played his band gig there in 2007 until, the relationship blossomed. I don't even think, think about this. Daly and Wells is a very successful company. They have millions and millions and millions of dollars coming in contracts all over the country. Why do they care about San Angelo, Texas? This has got to be a small deal for them. So I think I don't think that there was an intent to have Vasquez be their passport, as the prosecutor said. However, you and I, and you know this too, Yantis, we're in a position of public trust.
Right.
And you're an elected official and you have authority. And in this case, he has the authority to take away people's freedom as a police chief.
Right.
And so his ethics and integrity have to be above approach. And that's not what happened. And this is unfortunate. Tim Vasquez is a very nice man. I've known him for a long time. I'm sure you've known him. I feel for him and his family, especially his dad, who's he's an Air Force veteran and a long time.
He's a long-time police officer in San Angelo.
Yeah. And, his dad stood by Tim the entire time. He was in the courtroom the entire time. His dad, my hat's off to Tim Vasquez, his dad, Armando. He was there. Probably the most important thing he did as a father is to stand by his son while his son went through this hell. But anyway, the sentencing's coming up. We'll have probably more information in a couple minutes. One more thing I'll say on the prosecution. The prosecution team was wired. Those guys were fit. They were good. Jeff Haig, great prosecutor. We were very fortunate to have him serving our country. The assistant, Sean Long, is just as competent when he makes his arguments. Sean and Jeff Haig and Sean Long, the two prosecutors on this case, just did a wonderful job. And of course, they're backed up by investigator Jeff Andreessen. And Jeff Andreessen provided testimony at the very beginning of the trial, kind of laid out the charges and why they're charging for them. And of course, also on the prosecution team was our own Tom Green County Sheriff Nick Hanna, who was the Texas Ranger who investigated this when it first broke out back in 2016. He was the lead investigator. And I would think that if I were in Sheriff Hanna's shoes, I would probably be happy. I know I would be happy with this verdict because, Tim Vasquez, Sheriff Hanna, all these people, they represent a law enforcement community. Right. And if the law enforcement has to be above reproach, above reproach, in everything they do. And if Tim got away with this, it would probably, think about it, you get pulled over on College Hills and you say, "Hey, officer, how much can I pay you for your band to play tonight so I can get out of this ticket?" They start having jokes about that. So this is actually upholding the integrity of the entire Tom Green County criminal justice system. So that's a good thing.
Well, I think you're right. I think the jury has sent a message, and this federal court has sent a message to every elected official and every potential elected official to be very careful how you conduct your business and to follow the letter and the intent of the law. Joe, I think we're going to cut out here at this time and let you get back to getting us the details, and we will have complete details about this case coming up shortly. Again, former San Angelo Police Chief Tim Vasquez has been found guilty in federal court in Lubbock on all 4 charges, bribery and mail fraud. Is there anything else you want to throw in before we go, Joe?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
I need to get back in there and find out what let him out of bond or not.
Okay. Well, in that case, on behalf of San Angelo Live, thanks for tuning in. Again, verdict reached in the Tim Vasquez trial in Lubbock, the federal trial. Tim Vasquez, the former chief of police in San Angelo, has been found guilty on all 4 counts, and we will have details later. On behalf of Joe Hyde and San Angelo Live, the entire team here, I'm Yantis Green.